Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining today.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me.
So, where in the world are you calling in from?
Calling from New York City, good old Midtown, from our office in a sound booth.
Wonderful.
It's just always
Yeah, well, the sound booth, it makes such a difference. I think I've got to do some more work on that myself.
it does.
So, tell me a little about what you're working on right now. Tell me a little about Ember and what your focus, the organization's focused on. Let's start there.
Awesome. So I'm the chief of staff at Ember, and Ember is a very small, like boutique advisory firm and fund for consumer brands. Our fund is unique in that it is primarily inventory backed loans. So we work mostly, or investments on our fund side are typically in apparel or any sort of like hard good, some a little bit of food and bev as well. And we work with mostly brands that are, I would say, under 20 million in revenue. And then our advisory side of the business is we work with larger brands, also focused on consumer. Most of our clients are in apparel or like outdoor gear has been a fun niche for us. We work with them on strategy and execution and work primarily with founders or the CEOs to help operationalize the business in ways that make it more efficient, activate their team members in the best way possible, sometimes help hire folks. So we kind of run the gamut. I like to say we help to make brands kind of step up in their maturity and become change from a startup to a kind of enterprise level operational business. So
It's
that's what
exciting.
we're working on right now.
That's got to be fun to watch that change happen and be part of that next step in their evolution.
Oh, so fun. And we work primarily on like a retainer basis on the advisory side of our business. And because of that, we're with a lot of folks for a year, 2 years, and being able to see the changes that they make in that time period. I think in my mind, that's not a long time, but you can see so much change happen, especially in consumer, because it's a business that changes every day. As I'm sure everyone's aware with the political landscape, it impacts it directly. So it's definitely you learn a lot. You learn a lot.
Out of curiosity, when does you know, where, at what point or what challenges is usually your clients seeing when they're like, you know what, I got to call Ember? How do they know it's time to get some help to go from where they are to where they want to be?
It's interesting. It really varies. We've seen a couple trends though. So I would say most of our clients we get through word of mouth. Because to your point, it's very hard for especially leaders who've been or founders who've been working in this business tunnel vision for 10, 15 plus years to really take a step back and see where they need help and ask for it. Especially because a lot of that entrepreneurship mentality kind of leans against asking for help. So it's tricky to have those conversations because a lot of the work we do is really focused on developing leadership and the board kind of leaders alongside them that enable those kind of founders and CEOs. But I would say we definitely see some trends in there's the businesses are stagnant in growth or declining in growth and they don't know why. Like they can't figure it out. The formulas they were using before are no longer showing kind of progress. And they feel kind of backed up against a wall because they've kind of reached their limit of their expertise. Some we see are businesses that have grown vastly and are realizing they just don't have the understanding or the expertise to understand how to take the business to that next level. And they've kind of outgrown their knowledge. And that's another aspect that we can come in and help with because we work with advisors that have worked with businesses that are massive and enterprise level and have seen also that growth change over time. And I'd say, lastly, we've actually seen an interesting trend in us working with folks that have either gotten potential acquisition deals on the table or potential exit options, and they start to kind of transform and mold their business around that potential sale. And in doing so, as we know, sales fall flat a lot, and it's very difficult to sell a company. Very, very difficult. So more times than not, those deals fail, and we have started working with quite a few brands that had a failed deal and they're like, I don't know what to do with the business now. Like, in kind of lost sight of the operational day to day of how to run the business and still aim towards profitability and growth. I should say profitable growth without sacrificing also the potential for another deal in the future. So I would say those are really the primary ways that we come to a brand and they say we need help is unfortunately when they're kind of backed up against the wall a little bit and they feel at a loss, like they just don't know what to do.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. Well, you mentioned, kind of what worked before isn't working anymore, kind of, but was one scenario. How much are you finding both for your business as an organization, Ember, versus your clients? How much is AI playing a part, on either side of that equation?
it's definitely I would say helping answer some of these questions that folks have around kind of like what's next. I think this week in particular, it's very interesting because agents and the use of agents for shopping has been a huge topic in the past couple weeks and month. So we're starting to have a lot of those kind of early stage conversations with our clients on how what does AI mean for the consumer versus just operationally. We've been having conversations around the operational benefits of using AI, whether it be from chat or integrated into your partners and things like that for years and for the past year especially. And our perspective usually on that front is you don't need a ton of fancy tools. You just need to make sure that the partners that you've been working with, whether it be folks like Klaviyo that run email or Shopify in particular, because most of our brands, if not all of them, are on Shopify, are using AI and implementing it and making kind of their businesses and the platforms that you're using better in using it, and that you're staying up to date on like how to make sure that you're using it to a full capacity to make your team efficient. But it's interesting because now the conversation has shifted a little bit to how is this going to impact the consumer experience and the customer experience, whether it be on the website or how they shop, and more of the kind of top of funnel awareness of the brand and how do they kind of get ahead of that. And we still, it's such a black box at this point that we don't really have strong opinions on what it's going to mean yet. Um, but I do think that it'll be interesting to see how consumer behavior actually changes with the use of agents. So it's something we're keeping our pulse on. Don't have a strong opinion on kind of what it will mean next, because I think a lot of it will really be driven by the agents themselves and like if they include ads on chat and all these other kind of platforms, there's so many variables, but something we're definitely keeping an eye on. When it comes to Ember, we've been where I see the most benefit because I also run kind of like operationally our business and our network is how to use these tools to make our network and really tap our network in the most efficient, accurate way. So we run events, particularly around consumer and investing and advisory, those things. So our network is really the basis of all of that. So how I've looked into a lot of the different new CRMs that live and are based on and growing and changing every single day based off of new AI and kind of the knowledge that comes along with that. So I've been so grateful to a lot of these brands 2 years ago when I was talking to them. They were so new, and I was like, okay, this is not accurate enough for us, or like it just they were still testing it themselves and I just didn't feel confident. But now I feel like they've gotten to a maturity level where I'm like, oh, okay, I can see a difference here. And it actually makes us more efficient and we don't have to put as many like processes in place or set up our own automations. A lot of it happens on its own. So I think from like for an Ember perspective, it's primarily operational and network driven. So, however, we can find tools and use tools to help make our lives easier because we're a small team has been monumental. So,
And I think I really like what you said for your clients. Don't like go out and find best of breed. Focus on what your existing tool sets can do for you. Because ultimately, if you're focused on your fundamentals, like you said, profitable growth, you don't need complicated systems. You don't need a lot of different things to manage. You need to be as simple as possible.
yeah.
And a lot of, like you said, a lot of the tools are becoming more mature as well for the consumer facing side.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And my perspective too is let those large companies and technology companies invest in it. don't use your dollars, which margins in consumer are, as everyone knows, much lower than it would be for a SaaS company or technology company. And oftentimes, consumer businesses don't have the technology expertise like an engineer or product manager on their team who really can know and understand kind of a tech stack and like how to integrate it. So let your partners do that hard work for you. Ask them questions, try to glean as much knowledge as you can, and then see kind of make your own judgments, of course. But I think let the dollars that they have go to that
And
exploration.
they get to spread across so many more clients versus one individual organization picking up that bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, like you'd mentioned, and then they get to figure out the maturity scale. Like when is it going to be ready for more consumers or their customers to use? And then you get on that. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm someone who I've been self-identified as a late adapter when it
Okay.
comes to technology. So I'm someone who is like very risk averse and like, let me see how things play out typically. I think agents will be a true test of that because I do think it's something that will change consumer behavior, not flip a switch overnight, but I think we'll see it over time and it's something that we should already start monitoring. But yeah, I'm cautious when it comes to that. So that's why I'm always like put the investment on people who have that knowledge and let them do the hard work and then kind of milk them for it at the end of the day.
Not related to AI, but did you hear about the new zipper invention that's been released?
No.
Yeah, I'll have to send you a little more information on that. But there's been a new invention in the zipper and the as you know, in this space around clothing manufacturing, you have to have special machines to apply the zippers to the clothing. There's a whole new generation of zipper
Amazing.
attachments coming, I guess. So
That's we haven't even thought about yet, but I would be grateful for. And hopefully that makes like the turnaround time on product development that much quicker. Like those are aspects we are not on the ground to see, but I'm excited to see how it affects product development.
and that's what I was going to say on the AI side. How are you seeing a lot of your clients where, whether it be the creative aspects for their go-to-market or whether it be actual product design, are they relying on AI more on the back end for some of the pieces, whether it be advertising focus or whether it be actual creation of their product?
There it's such a great question, and it's tricky to answer because we have our opinions, of course, on kind of and I also like as an advisor, but also as a consumer. So I and sometimes those lines are kind of hard to
Separate?
like a little blurred. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but when it comes to using AI for creative, I think it depends on kind of what you're selling at the end of the day. But for us, we see that with the growth of agents and this kind of changing consumer market, as well as like people shopping less, especially right now in our economy, um, brand and a brand story and the creative that goes along with that is really what's going to reign supreme. And unfortunately, with AI, sometimes it can be great in developing that content, but also consumers are becoming a little bit more attuned to like, is that real? Is that genuine? Is that not? So I think cautiously use it when it comes to creative. Like that's our perspective. I think if you can utilize it for certain things to cut costs, like changing colors of products that you present on your website. Okay, great. But when it comes to developing like genuinely creative content, I think it's risky because it's not AI hasn't we haven't seen it become so I think on the video level, of course, there's like TikToks where you're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was AI kind of thing. We all get duped. But when it comes to like selling a product, I think folks are a little bit more aware of if it's like computer generated.
They don't want to feel
When it
fake.
comes yes, yeah, yeah. Not at all, and you can tell, like, something feels colder almost, it's and there's, like, a plastic, like, kind of fakeness to, um, some of that content, so proceed with caution is, like, our general, thought process there, and at the end of the day, I don't think you'll really ever be able to replace good brand, and unfortunately, I feel like a lot of folks kind of lost that mindset when it came to optimizing Google Ads and Meta Ads and things like that, and you see even those platforms are generating content for the brands now. And it's just, it's interesting. I don't know how effective it will be in the long term, but um, cautious. When it comes to product development, though, I do think, and we have a couple partners that we work with that utilize AI to develop like merch planning and do have way more accurate inventory planning. And I think that's massively beneficial because that's something that I don't want to say antiquated aspect of the industry, but the industry used to really be led by merchants and buyers and planners that at a lot of the large department stores that were really the source of truth for like how much do we purchase, how much do we design, all this stuff. They led design, gave feedback on design to these brands. Like they were really the guiding post. They were the best person to know in the industry years ago. Then kind of it shifted to marketing being the lead on product because it was acquisition like crazy, and people were seeing numbers from Google and Meta ads that were just unbelievable. So marketing kind of really started to lead product development. Now you're seeing this shift back where Google and Meta ads are becoming too expensive, and we now need kind of to find a balance of like what is a good ad versus like what's a genuinely good product, and how do you find kind of marry the two. And that's where kind of we're trying to find kind of the balance between merchandising and marketing. And I think it's primarily a people solved issue, or like that's a solution, is really like how do you get those two teams and people to communicate. But I do think AI tools that can help you with understanding demand and like looking at what's working on online ads and things like that and all those channels, and matching that together with the buying and planning and design for future seasons. Like anyone who can accomplish and create a tool that does that on a large enterprise scale, kind of like Shopify, I think is like the next big thing, and will change the whole industry. So I think that's really where I think AI can really help, and tech can really help when it comes to product development. Less so on the design side.
Yeah, I completely agree with your point on the commercials. I just saw Coca-Cola has their new, I can't believe, it's Christmas commercials already. It's like November 1st, but,
Mhm.
they have little, AI squirrels that got running around snowy
I
scenery. And to your point, it felt disconnected from me. I didn't like think, oh, that's warm and fuzzy and I want Coke. I thought, oh, it's
yeah.
fake. And it felt a little disconnecting.
Yeah. And we've all seen those movies where it's like technology is taking over. And I think there is an underlying fear for folks, especially just kind of given the global environment too. I think so, like anything, and I will say, brand goes into product as well, and so like how you design your products, making truly like unique product and creative that goes along with that. I think people will really start to attach to. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I lean also as a consumer, but
So are you bullish for the holiday shopping season coming up? Do you feel good that consumers are going to get out there or?
oh God, I hope so. But unfortunately, I think a lot of us are preparing for, I don't want to say the worst, but a lot less than in the past couple years. I think last year was also did not meet a lot of expectations for certain industries, or like certain product types. But I think everyone is very cautious this year, and planning for a decline just based off of the economy. So we've seen a lot of, I don't want to say declining sales, but lack of growth in certain businesses that have seen consistent increase year over year. So, but it's always very difficult to predict holiday. Just like some years you'll be like, this is going to be awful. It's going to be the worst. And then people will really surprise you because there's some people who shop because they're sad about what's going on, and they put that into the holidays even more. So, um, I am cautious. I wouldn't say I'm optimistic yet, but I'm hoping where it's not as bad as some might predict it is going to be this
Yeah.
year. But I do think we're in a very critical time when, especially due to tariffs, that we're going to start see brands shutter just because they did not build the margin in protect themselves from those kinds of changes, which is very difficult to do. It's massively difficult, so I'm no fault on them. But I think holidays will really determine if that those businesses last or not.
Who
So
the
I do
winners
think we'll
are,
see the
right?
repercussions.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think this year will be very telling.
Well, I'm hopeful because obviously we're going through the shutdown, tariffs. We're getting a very decisive political environment right now across the country, I'm hoping that brings families together more. And I think I'm hopeful that we'll see, more focus to your point on, hey, these are tough times. Let's come together and enjoy the
Yeah.
holidays, and maybe there'll be more food shopping, even if it's not as much gifts and consumer product. Hopeful.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting also to see. I think years ago it was like millennials aren't shopping anymore, but they're spending that money on experiences. And I wonder if we're going to see a similar trend this year, or given the shutdown, travel's probably going to also be limited. So it's just going to be interesting to see if like any industry is really on the up at like around the holidays this year. So yeah, I'm very intrigued. But to your point, I hope it does inspire folks to really spend time together, and I hope it's on, especially on the food and bev side. So
Great. Well, Alex, any parting thoughts to share with the audience?
oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm always open to thoughts and ideas of new technology. So if any of this sparked an insight, or if anyone knows that new merchandising marketing tool that brings everything together, let me know. Please reach out to me, because we love, half of our job is learning about these new tools and seeing how we can help to implement them at our clients. So
That's perfect. Well, thank you,
it's more so
Alex.
asking for help.
Yeah, no, no, that's great. Well, thank you for the time today, and hope you enjoy your holidays.
Thank you. And likewise.